Yo, what's going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about the 1999 horror film directed by Takashi Miike, based on the 1997 novel by Ryu Murakami. We have Audition, or Audition in Japanese. I think it's Japanese, right? Japanese, okay. That would make sense to me, and obviously it's in a different language. We've done all sorts of like different films. We've done Korean films, Chinese films, British films, German films. We've done all sorts of stuff on this channel. I think it's really cool to see like the diversity and like different countries' takes on film and horror and suspense and all these type of things. This is a pretty fine movie. This is pretty decent. I'm not gonna say it's one of the best movies I've ever seen because that's not really true. But well, yeah, let's just get into the plot and the critical reception, all that. I got to get this wrapped up, posted to you guys because I got lunch in an hour. So, yeah. So this story follows Shigeharu Aoyama, who is a widower whose son Shigehiko says that he should find a new wife, and I'm sorry that I butcher all of these names. It's pretty difficult to pronounce some of these. So Shigeharu's friend Yasuhisa Yoshikawa, a film producer, devises a mock casting audition at which young women audition for the part of Shigeharu's new wife. Now, obviously, this is like a cover. They're obviously supposed to be doing like a lead role of a film and other like supporting cast and stuff, and they're kind of like auditioning for that. But it's obviously used for the guy to get a wife. I mean, that's it. So Shigeharu agrees to the plan and is immediately enchanted by an applicant named Asami Yamazaki. Right there. Attracted to her apparent emotional depth shown in her application essay. So right away, this guy finds a woman that he is super attracted to, finds some qualities in her writing, and yeah, it doesn't even take like 10 minutes for the film for him to be like, okay, I found my woman, and this is like destined to be, and this is the woman that becomes a super important part of the film, and in a way is kind of like the antagonist. I don't know. It's a super weird film. Like, it's hard to kind of explain what happens, and they don't do a great job at explaining what happens either. But yeah, I mean, Yasuhisa cannot reach any of the references in Asami's resume, such as a music producer she said she worked for who has gone missing. So she's saying all these things. She's putting things on her application like, I did this, I worked for this guy, I worked for him, but they can't find anything on these people. And pretty soon there's going to be a reason why. However, Shigeharu is so enthralled by her that he pursues her anyway. He is so enticed, he is so attracted to this woman that it doesn't really matter her background at all to him. It doesn't. My teeth crooked. Hey, look, you look crooked. I don't know her. So, she lives in a tiny apartment containing little besides a large sack and a telephone, and we kind of see inside of her apartment what's going on. It's really weird. So, for 4 days after the audition, she sits perfectly still next to the phone, waiting for it to ring. When it finally does, she answers, pretending that she never expected Shigeharu to call, even though she's literally been sitting there waiting. She is quite clingy. We get that in the beginning, right from the start. After several dates, she agrees to accompany him to a seaside hotel where Shigeharu intends to propose marriage. There is no hesitation in this man's game. He wants to get married. His son tells him he needs to get married. He's making it like an urgent mission to do so, which is kind of fucking weird and something that isn't really accepted in any culture. But like, fuck it. I mean, he's already there, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird. So, at the hotel, Asami reveals burn scars on her body, kind of revealing a little bit about her past, and we learn a little bit more about her throughout the film. She had a very messed up childhood where she was pretty much forced to dance, or else she was going to get tortured by her uncle, I think it was. So before having sex, Asami demands that Shigeharu pledge his love to her and no one else. He can't care about anyone else. Can't care about his son. Can't care about his dog. Can't care about his dead wife. Can't care about his coworkers. Nothing like that. She wants him to focus on her and only her. That's obviously a very obsessive culture. That's obviously a very messed up world, and he signs off to it. It's like, what are you doing, man? You can't tell a girl you're only going to love her. Like, that's not a logical thing to do. So, deeply moved, Shigeharu agrees. In the morning, Asami is nowhere to be found. She has disappeared. Shigeharu is super confused. He's like, where the hell is this woman gone? So he spends a decent amount of the movie trying to look for her, of course. So Shigeharu tries to track her down using her resume, but as Yasuhisa warned, all the contacts are dead ends, and there's some super eerie stuff, some super eerie lore that's kind of going on. So at the dance studio where she said she was trained, he finds a man with prosthetic feet who is shown to have tortured Asami when she was a child, causing her burn scars. So everything is starting to kind of come together for this guy. He's like, oh, that's where the scars came from. Oh, this is why such and such has happened. Like, the pieces are falling in place for this guy, and he's realizing, I made a big mistake. I fell into the trap. And it's pretty much too late for him by the time, things start to go down, of course. So, the bar where she said she worked has been abandoned for a year following the murder and dismemberment of the owner. So, a passerby tells Shigeharu that the police found 3 extra fingers, an extra ear, and an extra tongue when they recovered the body. Shigeharu has hallucinations of the body pieces for some reason. I don't really understand that. Maybe he saw it in a vision. I guess he might have saw it in a dream. I don't know. It's super weird. This movie is super confusing. It's one of the more confusingly good movies. It's kind of like up for interpretation for some reason. Like, I don't know why they did this, but it's not bad. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Asami goes to Shigeharu's house and finds a photo of his late wife. So she breaks in. Enraged, she drugs his liquor, puts something in it, obviously. Shigeharu comes home, pours a drink, and after a short while feels the effects of the drugs. Getting sleepy pretty much puts him out. A flashback shows that the sack in Asami's apartment contains a man missing both feet, his tongue, 1 ear, and 3 fingers on one hand. So this was the owner of the bar, apparently. I don't know if it was really confirmed that in the movie. Again, this was so confusing. I feel like the storyline was kind of inconsistent. I don't know. So he crawls out and begs for food. Asami vomits into a dog dish and places it on the floor for the man. Oh my god, it's disgusting. That's one of the nastiest parts of the film. The man sticks his face in the vomit and hungrily consumes it. Oh my god. That's so nasty. I kind of forgot that's what she did, but now that I think about it, that's freaking gross. I wasn't as grossed out while I was watching it as I am now. But Shigeharu collapses from the drug. Asami injects him with a paralytic agent that leaves his nerves alert and tortures him with needles. Makes him extra susceptible to pain. He feels pain worse and more attentively. She tells him that, just like everyone else in her life, he has failed to love only her. That's not something you should want. That's not really a realistic thing, but maybe she's been so neglected in her life that she feels that that's necessary for her. I don't know. So she cannot tolerate his feelings for anyone else, even his own son. She inserts needles into the skin below his eyes, saying deeper continuously as she does so. It's so evil. In English, it sounds like she's laughing. It's kind of crazy. It's a wild thing. I don't know. She then cuts off his left foot with a wire saw. Oh my god, it's disturbing. So Shigehiko returns home as Asami begins to cut off Shigeharu's other foot, and she sneaks up on him with a can of mace, sprays it in his eyes, obviously. So as she attacks the boy, Shigeharu appears to suddenly wake up back in the hotel after he and Asami had sex, and his current ordeal seems to be only a nightmare. Shigeharu proposes marriage, and Asami accepts. I don't know what happened, but I guess he falls back asleep in the hotel. He returns to reality. His previous awakening having been false, to find his son fighting Asami. It is so strange. This movie does it so weirdly. I don't know how to explain it. It's like him waking up was a dream or something. I don't know. So Shigehiko kicks her downstairs, breaking her neck and killing her pretty much. Shigeharu tells his son to call the police and stares at the dying Asami, or she's dying, she didn't die quite, who repeats what she said on one of their dates about her excitement on seeing him again. And that's where the movie ends. It's actually super bizarre. I don't think I've really seen a movie quite this strange. I don't know. I've seen some weird movies, but this was weird. The ending was inexplainable. I don't know what happened, but let's get into the review. So getting into the review, there's a decent amount to say about this. It's pretty good. It's an audacious, unsettling Japanese horror film from director Takashi Miike. It entertains as both a grisly shocker and a psychological drama. It's pretty good. I will accept it as a solid horror film. It's not something I can watch over and over again, and I feel for the sake of this film, it's only a one-time experience. You can't really just rewatch this. I don't know. Maybe if you didn't catch some things in the beginning, you could, but I mean, it's a truly shocking horror film that was made even more disturbing by its haunting beauty. Like the aesthetics are really cool. It's a slow burning but ultimately devastating horror pick. I mean, it's a virtuoso piece of filmmaking with such more subtlety and depth than a lot of other films like from that era of Japanese film. It's one of the most audacious and iconoclastic horror films for the time. Sheena and Ishibashi acting were great. The film's few irritants is a smarmy, snarly bad guy turned by Renji Ishibashi as Asami's wheelchair-using ballet instructor turns into a bad guy for some reason. He's a reminder of where too many other films like this have headed straight for the video racks. Mike is ready for a bigger role. He was a huge Japanese director of the generation. I'm not sure where he went with his career, but yeah, it's okay. I don't really know. The final sequence obviously had a lot of controversy around it. The final scene was pretty good, actually, like positive controversy. Mike lulls the audience into a state of complacency with a studied, slow-moving, lightly comic first half before delivering a gruesome final section that makes Stephen King's Misery look wholesome. The ending was all the more shocking for the clinical way in which it is presented. It is only at the ending of the film that Audition kind of breaks out of creepfest ghetto. Most of films like this are disturbing for what they have to tell us about the state of contemporary civilization. They're not in the least disturbing in themselves, operating on some fantasy level of annihilation with comic book violence. But Audition is authentically disturbing and infinitely more horrifying compared to some of these films. The first time you watch it at home, after seeing things about it, I was repeatedly tempted through the last half hour to turn it off, honestly. Like, it wasn't a movie that I cared to sit through for a little bit. I watched it attentively. Like, I sat there like, okay, I'm going to watch this. But, because there's been horror films where I've sat down and I've damn near fallen asleep to. But this one I was determined to get through. And it was all worth it. Because I knew something was kind of coming. There's been comparisons. The film was almost as unwatchable as the newsreels of Auschwitz, of the innocent victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Vietnam, victims of Nazi or American dehumanization. Like, it's almost like that. It had a pretty big success. There's not a huge surprise there. I had no idea. I have no idea what kind of goes on in the minds of the people and of that area, and I don't want to pretend to know what their tastes are. I don't want to start thinking about that. It's nice that they make movies like this. I don't know. Is whatever. In Japan, though, even in Japan, for Japan, I feel like only a certain type of people would want to watch this film. It's a well-timed film for historical context, a lot of people say. I don't really have much to say. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the film. I think it's pretty decent. I don't know if it's as good as a lot of films I've seen, but it's acceptable, at least. There's really good moments here. So, peace.